What is going on? Somebody
Hello.
still has it playing.
What's up?
All right.
Okay, how much of a delay is that?
Little bit.
Because 45 made a comment. All right, 40. You know how 45 is.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're all in there talking trash. Those of you in
Right.
green text, we really appreciate the membership, though. So, shout out to our channel members there.
Hey man, big shout out to Reed, who I worked in POTA. Man, Reed's the man there from the Atlantic states. There was he in Maryland, I think, or Virginia.
He was in Kentucky the other day. Got run off by the police department, but yeah, they let him finish out his activation. So that was mighty cool of him. I did see that on the rare times I'm on the POTA
Love
Facebook
working
page.
Reed. Reed, you rock, man. Thank you. You and so many others. I love it when I'm working at POTA and everyone's like, "Yo, Izzo, thank you." You know, Clubhouse, man, thank you. We love it on the airways when you guys are saying Clubhouse. So thank you.
Yep,
So
absolutely. And I need to get my antenna, at least an antenna back up here at the house so I can start hunting people. And I missed an awesome opportunity last night.
what happened?
Well, we have somebody that's no longer a rare entity.
Oh, I was just going to ask you about her.
Julie picked up her general. And immediately following her test, what'd she do?
What'd she
Went
do?
in, got on the air.
Nice.
So,
Julie, this
20 and
cigar, this cigar is for you, girl. This is for
So.
you. Nice job. Nice job. That's for anyone who goes out.
Nice.
She rocked that
Bust
test.
her ass.
She
Yeah, good.
was worried about it, but she rocked it. And her upgrade is showing in the ULS already.
So now what's Vaughn? Vaughn's already a general?
Vaughn's already a general.
There you go. So she no longer needs him. She doesn't need him, man. She could just go out and do her own thing. Hey, Vaughn, you're like leftovers now. I know what it feels like. You're done, man. So you come on. Hey.
He's still one ham radio. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm only kidding with Vaughn. I love that, man.
Oh, no.
I love them. They're all good people, man. They're very good people. They're out there promoting our hobby. They, along with many others, are the ambassadors of our hobby of getting on the air. How many times have we said that? Just do your own thing, walk in your own shoes, and they do that along with so many other people. So thank you.
Yep. Well, and they were out this weekend, and they used the Flatlanders infed, which they absolutely love, but it was held up by a kite instead of a regular mast.
No kidding.
That's cool.
Out there on the beach, I'm like,
you ever do that, Mike?
No. I've thought about it. I've seen
because you've done some funky stuff.
Yeah.
you put it on your list.
No, I've thought about it. I think that'd be neat to do.
Put it on your list.
But yeah.
So I definitely want to do a kite activation at some point, and I've got the beach here to do it from. So just got to get out there early because that beach on a weekend is absolutely atrocious.
So has it started yet, or is it like one of those Memorial Day to Labor Day kind of things?
No. It's started. It's almost year round here. Matter of fact, Vaughn, Julie, and I were on that beach the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Oh man, I gotta turn my light on. I just realized that it's all dark. I'm like, why am I so dark? I mean, listen, this face is so ugly. It should be dark in here, but
I will say we did freeze out there on that beach, though.
Yeah,
but it was worth it. So
there we go.
We had fun. So, Don, what's going on with you?
Besides forgetting to turn on the light,
Hey, this is mostly for my monitors. I got my light turned way down.
Let's see what's going on. The contractor finished the house. The house looks very nice. All the rooms are done. Maggie's coming home next week, so she'll have a brand new bedroom.
Oh, so time for me to come back up and visit.
Yeah. And it's actually, if I ever wanted to turn that room into the ham shack.
There you go.
So this guy did really, really nice. What else? I had fun this weekend on Saturday. It was raining on and off. And of course, one of those things where every time you get to, it's not raining while you're driving. Then when you get to the park, it starts to pouring rain. But I said I'm going to do something simple. I pushed myself, and this is hard for a guy like me who carries everything with him and sometimes 2Z, 3Zs.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm going to the park with the 891 Biono battery and the ATOS.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And the iPad.
Yep.
I am not bringing paper. So if I get a pileup going, I'm going to start using my head here. But I did cheat because I bought something from Dunkin' Donuts. I ended up using the receipt. But
I got to remember to take paper with me.
Yes, but I did things differently. Now, I always have my space pen with me all the time. So, but I said, I'm going to see what it's like to downgrade myself. And can I teach myself you can do it? So let me bring up this here. Oh, that's the wrong one.
You know, I try to see how small I can make my kit because I have to fly with mine.
Good point.
And there's talk, I don't know how true it's going to come, but there's talk about me going to Yokosuka, Japan.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Wow. I'm already looking at POTA parks, and I'm going to try to get the company to pay for the reciprocity.
Yeah.
Oh, where is this thing here?
I'm limited on power over there.
Let me I think it might be easier for me just to take this picture and download it to my desktop. I'm sorry. I did not come prepared tonight.
Oh, you're all good. Mike, how about you?
Yeah. Oh, man. Mike. Say hi to Mike.
It's a crazy busy time for me. I got two boys, and it's a one time a year that they're both in sports, and in fact, one of them's in two different sports right now. So it's like we're getting pulled like every which way but the right way. Like it's like who am I driving to where and when? Mm-hmm. Glorified Uber driver.
As long as they're in a POTA park, you're fine.
Yeah, but
that's right. That's right. And he's done that before.
It starts Thursday. Soccer practice goes outside, and it is at a POTA park. So,
nice.
Soccer practices will be at POTA, and I'm actually going to take advantage of it this weekend. On Saturday, he's got practice, and Saturday is, and this is just some nerdy stuff. But what is it? It's the microwave. It's a microwave sprint day.
Okay.
So for 900 megahertz and above. There'll be some activity. So I'm going to bring out, I got these two guys, the two Alinkos.
Okay.
For 23 and 33 centimeters. And
nice.
They got 14 element Yagis for them. And so I'll go hand out some points to some of the local contesters and see if I can get enough contacts maybe on 23 and 33 to activate. I don't know.
I was going to say activate on 900 meg. That'd be
the most I've ever gotten on 1.2 or 900 is like 5 or 6. But we'll see. We'll see. These sprints aren't very active like the contests. I go out, and that's one of my things. I love doing the VHF contests, the 3 big ones in January, June, and September. But this is kind of these sprints are more just like a practice run for a few hours. But I just bought those used in the last month, so I'm really looking forward to playing with them. I used to borrow them from a local ham for the contest the last year, but
so give us a rundown. Let's say you and I'm in your club or whatever. I'm like, hey, I'll come out. You give me one, and you give me a Yagi. You give me what? A piece of feed line, maybe 6 feet long, because we don't want a lot of feed line here, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I was playing around doing like some of the loss calculations because like you're using just like 5-6 feet of RG8X or something, and I was debating if I wanted to set both Yagis up on like a mast and maybe extend that out from 6 feet to I was doing calculations with 10 and 15 feet, and when you're dealing with the higher frequencies like the loss
600
and the one, let's see, I think it's the 7. This one that'll do 1.2 gigahertz. That's only putting out a watt. Now the loss is a percentage, and so it's a percentage of a low number, but still, like if I've got a 14 element Yagi, that could turn 1 watt into 15 watts. I want to get as much of that 1 watt
That's
to the
my
antenna
point. Right.
as I can. And when I looked at, like, you know, if I extend the cable and I'm just doing something like that, the loss, it's like, I'll just stand around and operate it by hand, you know, like I have, and stuff. But at some point, I got to really like look at cables and see what works. And maybe I got to just, you know, see if, you know, like LMR 400 or something that's beefier, if that can still work for me, or if that's going to be too rigid or something.
LMR has a nice flexible 600. Okay.
Yeah.
I've used it in some public safety, but we were only up in the 450 megahertz range. And again, and that was low loss. That was like, I forget how much, you know, I forget what dB loss was at 100 feet. Yeah. But it met our needs, and we kept everything under 100 anyway. We just got lucky for where things had to get mounted.
Yeah.
As you know, you're not going to be running hard line. That's you know, that's you know by the time.
Well, yeah, okay. Use the hard line as the mast.
You're used to hard line. Yeah, but eventually you're going to need a jumper, and that, you know, and your connectors are lost again. And I like, Mike, I like what you're saying, because some guys forget. They're like, oh, I'm going to run a beam at, you know, 14 dB and this and that, front to back, this and that. But then again, you're going to lose it somewhere else. So, you know, but my point was, were you planning on operating? So I guess the Sprint is not for repeaters. It's just for point-to-point
simplex.
It's simplex. Have you already, and you live in Western New York, it's not a flat terrain, correct?
No, it is very flat compared to.
Oh, it is really flat?
Yeah, because we're right down by the lake, and by Lake Ontario and stuff. So it's pretty flat. There's some hills, you know, but like the soda that I go to often.
You got a soda out there?
Yeah, there's a couple that I can get up like 1,600 feet.
Okay.
If I go to a soda, and there's a park I like to go to that will put me up about 2,000 feet, but I'm obstructed behind me, so it's only good if I'm facing to kind of the north and the northwest, which is hitting the density, the ham density that I want to hit. But it's, you know, there's only so much of an opening, and there's a lot of vegetation. If I go there this time of year, I really got to worry about attenuation. Because and that's another thing that's real different when you get into the higher frequencies. You start to get up to UHF and above, and now you got to worry about leaves and trees and stuff like that. And it's something that you don't necessarily contend with. But when you're dealing with line of sight communications at really high frequencies, that's all of a sudden that becomes an impediment. So
when I was learning this stuff back in the 90s, I sat in a classroom and they were talking about that. I'm like, really, the leaves and the trees could have that much of an attenuation? And the engineers showed us some studies. And from that point on, I'm like, this is why I love the engineers. Here's my design. You're going to engineer it out.
I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, right, right. And where do we got to tweak and this and that? So initially, I thought you had more hills to contend with. And I was going to guess that you would be going up to a hill. Now you have a soda, so would it behoove you to go to a mountain or a recognized soda and do two or three, kill 2 or 3 birds at once?
Yep. Now I'm going to be at a POTA park for soccer practice during the sprint, so I'm going to do that. But if the weather permits, and if I have the time, then I'll rove and I'll go hit up another park. And I was thinking about going to the soda site or that one POTA park. It's about a 40-minute drive where I can get up 2,000 feet or so. And I've done 23 and 33 centimeters from up there before and gotten, half a dozen or so contacts.
Have you done this? Now that we have all these great things of logs being posted on a lot of the, previous years, QSO parties, whatever, sprints, do you ever go in and look at the data to see where people around you participated? Not how many points, not where they were necessarily in, first, 10th, 15th, 20th, whatever, but what region, so you can kind of see where are guys playing. Is there a guy 10 miles from me or 100 miles from me? I've done that on the 2-meter sprints a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I had this ICOM all mode, and that was fun because I felt like I was wasting just. And about 6 months later, I said, I got to get smart about this.
Yeah,
got to get smart about this.
Not so much for the sprints, because a lot of the sprints tend to focus on distance, and I'm not going to be breaking any records or anything with the HTs and stuff. It's more going to be those, multi-element setups, and they're running transverters and they're pushing out tons and tons of power.
Yeah.
I just do it to hand out points and have fun and play around, and whether it's on 1.2 gigahertz or 220 or whatever, it's fun to just go out and use some of these disused bands, because if we don't use them, we lose them, right?
Right.
You talk to haters. Go ahead. I want to tell you something.
For the contest, the ARL contest, I will look at the stats, and the club, our VHF club will have meetings before the contests and kind of take an inventory of how many people locally have what bands available to them and stuff, because you try to work each other and help each other out and stuff. But at the end of the day, like, I'm just doing it because I'm having fun, and I've learned a lot from doing it. What we were just talking about with things like the feed lines or antennas, some of these things are so much more different and critical when you're dealing with VHF and above versus HF. HF,
very forgiving, isn't it? It's very forgiving.
You don't have to think twice about using RG 316 if you're on 40 meters or 80 meters. Like, the losses, you don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
But you get into the higher frequencies, and all of a sudden that matters. You get to the higher frequencies, you're not using antenna tuners. You need to make sure you got good resonant antennas. That's another huge difference.
Small bandwidth with a very small bandwidth.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Even the chokes, like the torites, like I have, things labeled for different mixes for VHF versus HF and stuff. So by doing some of those things that are different, it's helped me learn. And I think it makes you a better operator, like on both sides, whether you're
Mike,
on HF
I think I found your next car.
What's that? Oh,
I found your next car.
Steve is right. Look at that.
Yeah. I've seen that. That's sick.
That's the Stealth cool. GTI. I've seen it up close in person. That thing is insane. Scott's a great guy too.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no room for a passenger.
Nope.
It's
yeah, that's a thing of beauty right there.
All right, so let's play I Spy.
Yeah.
I think I see an ATOS, right?
You do.
Yep.
The antenna off the hitch.
Uh-huh.
That capacity hat is.
Yeah.
Is that the big Tar Heel? Maybe.
No, that's actually a Scorpion.
All right, hang on. Let me make it bigger. Let me make it bigger on my end.
Enhance.
All right. Okay. Yeah. There. Okay. That's a Scorpion. Interesting.
That's the Scorpion screwdriver.
Now the Halo.
Which one? There's two.
Well, I don't know if the top one is 10 meters. It's hard. I can't tell if that's a 6 meter or a 10 meter.
I think that's his 10 meter.
Okay, and then below it looks to be possibly a 2 meter beam or a 6 meter beam.
I want to say it's a 6 and then the 2.
Or
maybe it's 2 and 70.
Okay. Then there's the other Halo.
Mm-hmm.
I think I see a diamond or a comet with the open coil.
Yep.
I think there's a sat antenna there. Over
the little black knob.
Yeah.
On the back left. That's actually a cell phone repeater that he carries.
Okay.
Wow.
But yeah, it's
okay. So everything is mounted to the roof rack. Nothing has pierced the roof, correct?
Correct. The roof rack comes off very quickly and very easily.
Like a suction cup, or because I don't see any gutter mount. Again, from my,
it's got 4 like gutter mounts on it, on the corners, right at the door. You can kind of see the one there on the back door. If you look close, the driver rear door he actually has a window pass through for all the cables, and they're all bundled very nicely. And
Coastal Wave Wall says I can do that. Walt, yes, you can.
Walt,
Yeah, Walt.
he's actually
Is this
in
a
the
salt
Virginia
water and the
area.
pool noodle?
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, that.
But overall though, Mike, I do agree with you. It's
Yeah.
a whole different ball game. You got to look at things differently. It's all about your strategy, right? Your strategy is going to be you're going to go out and I think you hit the nail on the head. HF is so much more forgiving to us, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great. It's a great plateau for us to all start. You start as again. If you're a tech playing a little bit in the small portions of sideband CW, you get your general. That's where the floodgates open up for us. We all know that. But I find it. I've always found it interesting. I know back long time ago. I'm talking like mid '80s. Watching the locals around here get into the sprints, especially on the 2 meter and the 440, and going to certain. They all had their spot on the various mountain ridges. But it was amazing. These guys were serious.
Yeah.
You did not. There was no such thing as, can I hold a screwdriver? No, get the hell away. You're going to stand over there and you're going to walk. And then eventually they would bring you in. Yeah. They just wanted to get everything up and running. It was so intense. You could feel, you could just feel the tension in the air because they wanted to get it right so they can then show you what they're doing. But the antennas were just like these horn. I guess it's called a horn. And very, very, there's not a lot of bandwidth. And I remember talking to Hayden one time about this out there in VK land. You just move it a few degrees, changes everything for you.
Yep.
So again, these guys are very serious about it. Kudos to them. And it's about having fun. This is what this hobby is. You know what I mean?
I wish there were more people down in my area that did, 900 and above. But I don't hear anybody talking about it, and I need to build the discount.
It's frustrating because there isn't a lot of gear for that either. The Alincos I was holding up earlier. I mean, those things are unobtainium.
Yeah.
I was lucky that some club members have some extras that they loan out for content and stuff. But and I waited for the right ones to buy on QRZ and whatnot.
I was going to say it's called the right flea market.
Yeah,
in the tailgate section.
I
mean those things.
Who cares if the battery's not working? You'll always find a battery somewhere.
Yeah. So I wish that there was more gear for some of those, even something like 220. Right now, there's a handful of cheap Chinese tri-bands that'll do 220. They might not do it and anything else clean, but they'll do it. And there's some stuff, but if you want to get outside of FM, good luck. Without a transverter, good luck.
I was gonna say you're either in transverter territory or you're looking at like the ICOM 9700, and that'll get you 1.2 gig, but not much else.
Yep.
Taurus Overland, thanks for the 10 gifted.
And that'll put out 10 watts. The 9700 will put out 10 watts on 1.2 gigs, but so will the the 905 as well.
Right.
So, which is like, wow, you can get that out of that little package.
But with the 905, if you're going above 1.2 gig, now you're talking much, a different style of cable, because the radio is actually up at the antenna, and you just have the head unit, wherever you're operating.
Right.
So there's more to play with, and the price tag on that 905 is make you cry.
Well, listen. Okay, listen. Let's not talk about crying yet, because if you add up how much money you've invested into this hobby, like when I met Jennifer, she said, "Oh, you have a radio." Yeah, I only have a radio. I didn't tell
radio.
her.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I didn't tell her I have 8 over here and maybe 2 over here, and
you know, and 7 in the truck. What are you talking about?
Right, exactly. And if you add everything up, I don't care if you bought them used, new, plus all your accessories.
Right.
Plus, you bought some antennas, you bought some extra antennas, you bought feed line, you bought more feed line, you bought more feed line. Oh, I want a green color feed line. I want a yellow feed line. Listen, I think these guys who are doing the sprints that Mike is talking about, besides the guys who are experimenting, the guys who have taken that deep rabbit hole dive are very dedicated into it. They're spending their money. God bless them. Keep their kind of, and even if they're just buying used stuff or building stuff or doing transverters, and whatever it takes, they're getting it done.
Well, and the guys that are homebrewing that gear.
Yeah. And if you talk to a lot of them, they'll tell you with what you can get, the different bands you can get out of something like the 905, even though it's expensive, what it costs to put a station together with those capabilities, it's basically the same thing, just maybe even more expensive, but definitely more complicated. And at least give ICOM credit for doing that.
Yeah,
I
do.
The only ones
think
doing
about more
right
expensive
now that I can think of.
Well, but
in a
again,
package,
and I envy a lot of those. I envy a lot of these guys. You know why? I'm jealous. I don't have that technical knowledge. They start talking in about 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. They've lost me, and I gotta tell them, hey, you gotta dumb it down for me. Dumb it down almost as if I'm the general public, so I can kind of comprehend it. And once you get me kind of going through the motions of it, I get it. I knew one guy. He's passed away. He used to love when the meteors throughout the 12 seasons. These guys were going after meteor scatter and would love to be playing radio. Me, I'm just looking up in the air and I'm trying to make a wish and this and that. When that thing is falling through the air, these guys are chasing RF with it. So
well, and that's I just pulled up the 905 at one of our favorite retailers.
How much?
The 905 with the 10-watt transceiver. So just the base package.
All right, before you give out that number, and I can't see it, just so you know, I can't see it. I'm tabulating in my head. The calculator is going off in my head. The cash register, ka-ching, 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 Steve.
Yep.
How much money I put into my 705 and all the accessories with it. So you still go ahead.
You're not even close. I promise you haven't spent this on the 705, even if you bought it at the height of cost. With all the accessories,
I don't think I bought it at the height of. I got a good deal on it.
Yeah. But the 905 that will get you, what is it, 270, 1.2 gig right out of the box. Because you've got to add the transverter for 10 gig and.
All right. All right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna put a number in our private chat. Only Mike could see it. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on, let me see something here, Mike. Oh, wait a minute. How do I do this? Hang on.
And I know there's folks out there probably looking. But I'll give you a hand.
Okay.
The transverter for 10 gig is $1,000. The parabolic antenna with mount for 10 gig is another $1,000.
Okay, Mike, can you see the number I put into the private chat?
Yeah, is that metric or is that imperial?
What do you mean? What's
yes, I see it.
That's US dollars.
That's US dollar. Okay, Steve, you're not supposed to be looking, Steve. Did you see it?
I did.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay. So that's about what I'm probably fairly close to that number. Because I bought some separate batteries, I bought some separate this, separate that, separate backpack. I bought the ICOM, the tuner. Plus, I had the mat tuner. So you got to add all. That's what I'm saying. All the stuff starts to add up. Separate feed line.
But with the 905, you still need the 2.4 gig antenna. You need the 5.6 gig antenna.
Okay.
Well, that's two 270 and 350 respectively, which I know some of us have spent that on HF antennas.
Okay, okay,
but that's multi-banded HF antennas.
Oh, you got me right there.
You know, the Wolf River coil, was probably $250, $300 if you get the Take It Along 1000. But it does everything 6 through 40. I'm talking $350 for one band.
So what does your cash register receipt say right now about what do you think? What's the investment right now?
I did the numbers down in Orlando because they gave away a 905 with the transverter and all the antennas, and I figured out what the tax burden would be on that. And the number you put in our private chat was probably close to what you were going to pay in taxes.
Just in taxes?
Just in taxes, because it's a gambling win, according to Florida law, which is stupid crazy. But the initial investment for the 905 is $2,600, and that doesn't count the antennas or the 10 gig transverter.
Plus battery and anything else you want to go backpack or carrying.
Yeah. I mean, you haven't even started to touch it. So I want to say the package that they were giving away at Hamcation came out to just under $12,000.
And Hamman CT says the 5-band transverter is $2,400.
And that's from Q5.
Q5, right?
So that's
Julie. It's only money.
It's only money.
If you really want to cry, break it down into how much you're paying per contact.
Oh God, no! God, no!
So if I say to Jennifer, that diamond ring you got, we're gonna go to the pawn shop.
Yeah.
Cash it in. I'm gonna go get. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go buy a new radio. Yeah.
I'll be living in this tent year round, won't I?
Yeah. She'll take the house and the truck. You don't even get the pleasure of living in the truck.
Okay. All right. She can keep her ring. I can keep my radios. I'll keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, it's an investment.
It is.
The whole point. It's an investment. And some people say you only live once. How many analogies have we heard? The famous T.O. Buy once, cry once.
There you go.
But there you go. It's.
Uh-oh. I think Vaughn's getting in trouble. If it's only money, the 76 or 7760 is on the way. It better be matched with that PW2
hotline from the 90s.
Well, I want to know who was that. Was that Vaughn typing that, or was that Julie typing that?
Vaughn typed that because Julie's under her own account.
Okay, there you go. All right then. See?
Yeah. So all right. That's. Yep. But yeah, if you're going to do the 7760, might as well pair it with the PW2 linear amplifier from ICOM as well.
Get so Mike, your two power. HTs, what did that cost you?
I paid.
Ballpark. What do you think you paid?
I paid $250 for one, I think it was, and then the other, I think it was around that, or maybe $300, just a little bit more, maybe $300. And I had to justify that, like. I had the opportunity to buy at least one of them from somebody local. I've been using the thing, so I knew it worked, but, and he had a couple of them, but, it's like, geez, do I buy something like this that I'm just using half a dozen times a year or whatever? But the G7, that's the tri-band one that does 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and then 23 sems. Okay. That's a full duplex HT. So there is something of value there.
I'll say the value of
the contest. Yes.
Satellite, man. I'm thinking satellite.
Exactly.
Can you do satellites on 23 centimeters?
I
don't know. I don't know. Eric was in the chat. Eric would know. But
yeah.
Damn, where was Bean? Hey, Bean.
Yeah.
Give us
Rest
a sign.
in peace.
Yeah. No. But no, you're right. There's value.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And and then the G29, that the other one, that's the one that does 900 and 220. I mean, which is like the most quirky. I say it's the most quirky radio there is. That it's going to do 900 megahertz and then 220. But it's a clean 220 radio.
Oh wow, that
and HT,
there's something to say for that.
There aren't a lot of them out there, so I enjoy it, so I did it. But that's a few $100s, and it took several months to kind of pull the trigger and move forward. Everyone's different, and stuff.
And you have those bands in use in your area.
Yeah, and I can go out and I can do this. You can't do it everywhere. We have an active group and stuff, but it's not going to fly everywhere, and that's probably why they're not making them anymore. Which is too bad.
You know what it is, Mike? It turns into what I call Jay Leno's garage.
Oh,
okay. I don't know how many vehicles Jay Leno and other people like him, car aficionados, who take these cars out. They purchase them for various reasons. They maybe drive them, I don't know, once a year or whatever. And Frank, I hope you enjoyed your chips. Thank you. You enjoy them, not me. Not me. Thank you. We're talking radio tonight. We're not talking those crazy chips. But no, seriously, I think it comes that because I sort of do that at a very lower scale with the 705. I start to determine, do I want to take the set, like for instance, winter field day? Do I want to go QR? Even though I could take an ICOM 7300 and turn it down.
Right.
Let's take the 705 out today. Let's do. Yeah. It's. I think we all get in that mode. Look at all the different QRP radios, or these radios at 20 watts or less that many guys have bought. From AliExpress to whatever, and we're taking them out. We may not be using them every day or every act, but we take them out. You go on vacation, you go over someone's house for the barbecue, and you're going to go, and I think that's where it starts to become fun. Again, the F word again is the fun.
The F word.
Well, and that's, like I said, if we had 900 around here, I'd probably go out and buy a radio for it. I've got one 220 repeater that I know of in my area, and I happen to know the guy that owns it and runs it. But I don't have anything above 70 centimeters.
Let's just stop right there, because for any of the new hams that are listening, and I always feel bad. I bought a DMR radio. I bought the ICOM D-Star radio, but I don't know. You got to do your homework, because the repeater structure around the country is totally different than what it was 25 to 30 years ago. It's going to change even when I'm in my 90s.
Right.
Who knows what it's going to be. But I think you got to do that to determine. So don't go out and buy anything yet, because I think all of us will agree here that if we had a great 220 repeater within 30 miles of each one of our homes here, we would have a 220 radio, or a 6 meter a repeater or something, or if 652 was active. You kind of go where the flow is, or whatever that analogy is. So,
well, of the 257 repeaters in South Carolina, there is one 10-meter repeater, and there are 4 6-meter repeaters.
Dude, have you ever seen the duplexers for a 10-meter?
Son, yes.
No.
6-7 feet tall, and we're talking about a 6-pack. 6 of those cans, man.
And usually, at least the ones I've talked to, the receiver is a mile or more away from the transmitter, and they're still running cans on them.
Jeez.
Back in the day when it was AM, 6-meter AM repeater, we had one up here in Connecticut. I mean, that thing played. Yeah. It played. It was and it was clean. But
so looks like we do. South Carolina does have 3 900 megahertz repeaters and a single 1.2 gig repeater. Unfortunately, they are not anywhere near me, so I'm not hitting those on FM.
Yeah,
one of the 900 is actually a DMR and P25. Nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have a 900 one in the city. That's part of a big group of linked repeaters, and I think there's 10 meter, there's 10, 6, 2, 220. Like all these are all linked up into one. But I have a separate 220 repeater down the road from me, just a couple miles. And then there's one a couple counties over that has a really big footprint that I can hit with an HT, and it's a couple counties over. And so, like I said, because it's up high and it's got really good coverage. Not a lot of traffic on it, because again, then it comes down to it's the whole chicken.
Not
and
a
the
lot
egg.
of good 220 radios.
There's not a lot of good radios and or not a lot out there that's available, but it is what it is. But
and I remember one of my friends, he's now a silent key. Yeah, I'm not sure if Mo's in the chat. Mo knows exactly
Mo's
what I'm talking
out there.
Our buddy Clark wrote an article, and the ARRL picked it up, and it talked about the pros and cons about doing linked repeaters, different bands or whatever, and the comments. You would, so it's just like what you see today on social media. That keyboard warrior. Why would you want to do that? This and that and this and that. We were talking about maybe some of these ghost repeaters to kind of like bring them together. Who knows? Yes, it takes time. Again, having a repeater is like having a kid.
Yep.
It really is. And especially when, it doesn't work, it goes down, whatever. You gotta do a little PM on it, but still. And that caused such a controversy. We now have some great here. Again, how many times have I said it, guys? The state of Connecticut is the size of counties across the United States, but we've got some great link systems here in the state of Connecticut. D-Star, DMR, the FM repeaters, they are absolutely incredible. And kudos and congratulations and a huge thank you to the guys behind the scenes who keep these things running for us. Yep. So hey, listen, guys, you got a few bucks, maybe you got $10, $20, throw it to them, and trust me, that would make them happy. Whether you join their club as a silent member, or whatever, and do that for them. That was, it goes a long way. Oh,
yeah.
Hey, speaking of which, I got to bring this up. Hang on.
All right.
So people were asking about Joe Brett.
Yeah, he's a little bit indisposed tonight.
He had to go to Italy.
Yeah.
Okay. Because Joe Brett has been chosen for as a nomination there to sit. I guess it's a pretty high title.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if any of his previous sins are going to get in the way. Now I don't think they're sins, but to other people, they could be considered sins. But does it take a little bit of holy water thrown at him? And now Joe is not abolished. He's sin proof. You know what I mean? He got washed. So
I don't know.
But all I could say is thanks to AI chat, GT, whatever that thing is, GTPPP, whatever. That took like about 10 seconds. I'm like, oh my God, this app is great.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the Bama Pope. Except he's in Mississippi.
Yeah. So Joe and Shane are taking care of some family stuff tonight. So we're just hanging out tonight. But
Izzo, I've got a picture that you might recognize.
See, you scare me when you do that sometimes. Oh my God, I have that picture. How do you have that picture?
I'm not telling you.
Okay, I'm gonna guess. One guess, Mo.
Of course.
Mo. Okay. Can anybody in the chat find Don Izzo? If put a one in the chat right now. If you can spot me immediately.
Old Donnie boy.
This was at one of our last repeater sites that we did in southern Connecticut. It's up about 900 feet or so. It looks right into Long Island, right over the ocean. Looks way up into Hartford, up into Springfield, Massachusetts, and farther. It's just an amazing sight, and we were able to get the guy in the middle with the winter beanie hat climbs the tower. Thank you, Mike. That was a Sunday morning. That was a Sunday morning when we were putting the final touches, and we were, we all brought our HTs to the site, and
oh yeah,
there was probably like 24 Dunkin' Donuts there, and we finally got that thing on the air. And just like anything else, man, you drove home, and we all worked each other, and it was sort of like the "Can you hear me now?" And we had fun. That was a great site. That site is still being used today for ham radio, a whole bunch of public safety stuff. But yeah, for those of you who cannot figure out where I am, I'm all the way to the left. I'm the second guy to the left in the back there.
Wow, such a baby face there.
Yeah, huh? Mm-hmm. I want to say that was around 1992, 1993, maybe.
I'm sure Mo will tell us.
And unfortunately,
wow.
I think there's about three or four silent keys in that group, and God bless them. They were great guys just to hang out and ham fest, rag chewing, whatever field day. We'd sit around and we'd come up with plans to do this and do that. And a year later, some of the things we did and some of the things we didn't do. But that's what hanging out is. You know what I mean?
And you never admit to anything you didn't get caught for. So
right. I want to bring up another picture of. So this was. So guys, this was me on Saturday.
Okay.
Again, I go back to playing in the truck. It was just me, the 891, the ATOS. Just slapped it on the tri-mag, threw it on the roof of the truck, ran the feed line into the window, and bam!
And it works decently on the tri-mag.
It works awesome on the tri-mag, including on 40 meters.
Okay.
Once again, I think it's all about the ground with that antenna. That antenna wants to see. Am I right or wrong? That wants to see. So I just make sure when I position those mag mounts, I'm getting as much metal as possible under that mag mount.
Wonder how mad they'd be if I got a tri-mag to throw in my suitcase while I travel.
Hey, what's there to get mad at? It's in the suitcase. It's going in the belly of the plane, right?
Yeah, I'm just wondering how much it'll stick to going through the X-ray machines and stuff.
So what? Put it on a cookie sheet first underneath it. And then put a bath towel or put your pajamas underneath it or something.
Yep.
But you could see, and that was 10 meters. That was 10 meters, 40 meters, 15 meters, and 17 meters. I want to thank anybody who was operating in the Florida QSO party. There was these 1x1 calls. What do they call themselves? The Pirates?
Yeah, I worked one of them. I worked one of them. Yeah.
Supposedly there was so the hand pole kept saying there was like 14 stations around Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I think I worked about 7 or 8 of them on 20 meters and I think 15 maybe. But anyway, great group of guys. They sounded absolutely fantastic. Congratulations to all of them going around. That was fun kind of chasing them. Chasing them because the bands in my area here in New England, southern New England, between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, the bands are really in a weird. I'm wondering if it has to do with the gray line. I wish somebody who had a lot more knowledge could explain this stuff to see if that's what I'm saying is true.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my speculation for me at that time period. I don't know how the bands they're all acting differently at that time in that window.
Yeah.
Of 2 hours, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I think I had the park worked with Park to Parks in about 15 minutes or so.
There you go.
So after that, it was let's go have some fun. So when the guy from Alaska calls me, from North Pole, Alaska calls me, I mean, again, if you were inside the truck,
work you.
Right, and if you're inside the truck and you heard me screaming and of happy tears and everything else, because the wildlife area, I think I screamed and I think the birds all took off. But no, that was fun. It like I said, it was fun just to really go out there bare boned and just, it was pouring rain, but I didn't care. Just go sit in the truck,
There you go. Yep.
And so that's what it's about. So guys, I guess the moral of the story is just get out and play radio. Who cares if it's raining out?
Just get out and have fun.
Yeah, get out and have fun. So
use the bands, because if we don't use them, we lose them.
But hey, since we're doing show and tell, you mind if I show a couple pictures?
Absolutely, man.
Right,
we're expecting you to. That's what the hell.
Let me upload this real quick here.
Yep. While you're getting that together, those of you that do POTA, you probably worked Gil Johnson, AG4JO. He went silent key yesterday.
Oh man, that sucks.
So I saw that on the Georgia Parks on the Air group today.
Rest in peace, brother.
Yep. He was actually supposed to host the one of their POTA locations for the Georgia Parks on the Air Day. So hopefully somebody else takes that over, and there's a big turnout for that. But
it's uploading. It's just a matter of when it gets there.
Mike, what was the last POTA you did? Come on, speed run. What was the last POTA you did?
Last POTA I did was Support Your Parks Weekend, which is what I'm uploading some photos from.
Okay. And did you use your call sign?
No, I didn't. I actually we were talking about this before. I realized I have not used my call sign for POTA since the Clubhouse anniversary live stream. When I went out during your live stream and I used the club call during the live stream.
That was March 20th. That was March 20th. I can tell you right now, March 20th.
So since then, I've been using club calls. I used the Ham Radio Clubhouse club call. I worked for a week. I did the autism awareness special event with W2A. I did that for a week. And then I used my club's call for what I'm going to pull up, which we do this every year now. Let's see. How do I add this? Or maybe you got to add it? Or
down at the bottom. Yep. You ready? There we go.
Yep, there it is. Okay. So my club, the Rochester Amateur Radio Association, and we're definitely one of the larger clubs. We got close to 500 members. So
nice.
Wow.
We do this. I started this thing called the POTA Academy, which we do every April on Support Your Parks Weekend. We rent a cabin. It's in the Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor, and we set up multiple stations, and it's kind of like everyone, hey, come out if you're a veteran at POTA, bring your gear, set up, do show and tell. And if you're new or interested, just come out. We'll sit you through. In this photo, Jack is kind of showing some of the logging software to a couple newbies. And we set up multiple stations. We had stations on 40, 20, 15, and 10. We had stations doing CW, digital modes,
Nice.
SSB. We had a variety of radios and antennas all set up. It's just kind of a good opportunity to get out and just see new gear. And like I said, if you're experienced, kind of do a show and tell and stuff, but and Elmer people. But if you're not, this is an opportunity to learn. And I'll walk through a couple of the photos. But each year we've had over 30 people show up. We had over 35 show up to this event, which was nice. And so we had the 710 in the other photo. There's a Yaesu 450D.
Okay.
That's another one of the club radios that still works. And we had somebody set up with a G90. There's an Elecraft with a mag loop doing some witchcraft. As I like to say. But then the POTA bus showed up.
Oh, wow.
One of my buddies has converted a bus into a POTA station, and he modified, I guess, like one of those lighting trailers that you see for road work.
Yep.
And we had this thing set up on 10 meters, and gosh, I wish the bands were open this day. Like Support Your Parks Weekend, anyone that was out working then, it was brutal.
It was a struggle.
But we had the bus set up, with 3 elements on 10. It was awesome. But we had a nice cabin. You could be outside, inside, depending on the weather. And it was just like a really good time, just getting out, playing radio. We had some fun giveaways. You can actually see one of the giveaways in this photo. one of the hams donated two iPad minis. So we gave out 2 iPads, a couple books on POTA.
Like, I gotta stop you.
Yeah.
The guy in the black hard heart shirt there in the middle.
Yeah.
If you look quick, that's KAMRD, or maybe that's his brother.
His doppelganger.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun, and it's been a good event, and like I said, the last 3 years we've gotten over 30 people at each of these events, and it kind of just goes to show you with with POTA, how this is really growing ham radio and generating a lot of interest and stuff. It's fantastic. So
Mike, I'm curious, what kind of witchcraft were they doing on that mag loop?
Yeah, I want to know more about that.
I always say mag loops are witchcraft. I don't understand them. They work. They're frustrating as hell, but I'm not going to sell mine and stuff. But
okay.
He had it set up with one of the Elecraft KX something or others. And in fact, the member that's in that, Carl Heinz, he's the mapping coordinator for New York for POTA.
Okay.
So we have a great group there to really
bring
help
up that
people.
picture again. Bring up that picture again. Let's talk about this antenna.
I already. You
dumped it because my thing with that antenna is, I'm going to make an assumption here. Tell me if you think I think if you're into CW,
yes,
and you're traveling,
exactly.
Maybe if you're doing, help me out, FT8, right? Because you're sitting on one frequency. Yes.
Yeah.
No.
You got to be low power.
FT8. Yeah.
I think if you're going to bring that antenna to a POTA park or from home or work in any type of field environment, and you're going to be moving around on the band, I don't think that's the antenna for you. I don't think.
Yeah.
No.
Because I think the frustration of it's not a throw a wire up evens or like you said, a coil, a Wolf River coil, NFEN half wave, a stick. I think you're going to have better. I see more guys getting frustrated with that antenna, but I think there's a huge learning curve, and it's a great benefit antenna. Matter of fact, there's a guy in Italy. I think he sells one for about $3,000 or $5,000.
Okay.
So there is a small group of guys who buy these things because obviously his demand for them is going.
Right.
But I know for me, it's not for me. I wish it could be for me. But I'm not that guy to be playing, like I said, on CW or FT8 with it. And I think that's where I keep saying don't even buy that antenna right now.
Yeah, I bought a mag loop. It was the second antenna I bought. I'd only been a ham for a few months. It's an Alex loop, and I got it at an estate sale. It looked like it had barely been used, and I got a good deal on it. And at the time, I had a G90. And if you have something like a 705 or a G90, something that has a good, it will have like an SWR chart or graph. It makes it a little bit easier to tune those things and whatnot. You can still do it by ear, listening to the noise and everything, but the SWR sweep, that certainly helped. But I forced myself to hunt stations from the backyard, and I think it was for what they do, the special event for the Indianapolis 500, I think it was.
Yep, they did.
And I hunted those with the Alex loop from the backyard. So I'm not out. I don't have the benefit of being at a park and saying park to park or anything.
Right.
But I hunted them and hunted some POTA from the backyard a couple weekends in a row. And that, it was torture because every time you sneeze, you got to retune those antennas, but it got me comfortable. And, I always say, I learned, my first car was a manual. I learned to drive manual. I got my first manual and I drove it up to Hamilton College, which is in central New York. And I stopped on the hill, and this was in December. And I was like, I'm going to learn. And I just start, stop to kind of get the clutch and everything down and whatnot. But, you sometimes that's just how you gotta learn. And those antennas, are frustrating, but they have a purpose. And
yes, they do.
And that's, I always think like I should just sell mine. I only use it once or twice a year, but then there's that time where
you're gonna want it.
I do FT8 from a hotel room, or I've done. I did a POTA 4 fur, and I was really limited to do a 4 fur where the trails were, and I had a limited footprint I could activate from, and that was perfect to set up and do it. And so I did a 4 for POTA with it, and so you know, there's no perfect radio, there's no perfect antenna.
No. I wish Jody was here, because I would love to know more about this. He says it's great for receive.
Yes.
But okay, so but what happens when you want to go transmit? Again, are you sitting on one frequency? Because I know for sideband, nothing is more again, we as POTA has evolved now.
Yeah.
Hi, we're already here on the chant. We're already over here. Thank you for asking. Is the frequency in use? Yes, it is. Now you got to move, which means so
yeah. Oh yeah, but yeah, I'd love to get my hands on an Alex loop. So Mike, if you ever get the inclination to get rid of it,
okay,
let me know.
I'll let you know.
Now the value just went up on it, Mike. See the value. See, now you got a guy wanting.
It's so hard to part with stuff, though.
It is. Well, especially
hurts.
antenna.
It hurts, doesn't it? It hurts. It hurts. Yeah. I have a 6 meter antenna sitting up in the rafters.
Yep.
I keep saying I'm going to pull it out. I keep saying I put away all the winter stuff. I was up on the ladder, and it was looking at me. And it's like, hey, haven't seen you in a while, Izzo. Let's, now's probably the time to be playing 6 meters. Why don't you take it down? All you got to do is put it up. You got enough mass. You got enough feed line, Izzo. Why don't you just run it and stick it up? And the next time you bring the radio on the back porch, just plug it in. You never know. Hey, Izzo, I'm over here. Don't go climbing down that ladder, Izzo. And there I was. I'm like, and I probably should have just pulled it down. So I'm looking at it because it's already built. The clamps is right there. Just you know what I mean? Clamp it, pop it up on the mast, and I should do it.
Well, I was actually looking at selling the Step IR when the tower came down, and I was.
It started talking to you, but it talks to you, doesn't it? That antenna starts talking.
I've got to do a couple of little minor repairs on it that I found.
Hey, Steve, come on, Steve? Why do you want to get rid of me, Steve?
I need at least one more section of Roan 25.
Steve, that's all you need. Another section. Come on,
and
Steve.
And then get the tilt over base for it.
Come on, Steve. Put me back up on the tower, Steve. Yep. Come on, Steve. Put me back on the tower.
Well, it just works. That 4-element.
Shane would love it too.
Yeah. We'll see if I give Shane access again.
I love it. I love it when our gear. Are we nuts? But when our gear starts talking to us. It's such a psychological game, man. It's like, Steve, the oven misses you.
Yeah. No,
Jody's right. I love when Jody's right.
We still use the oven. That's why you see from here up. You don't need to see all this belly.
Izzo, you mentioned 6 meters. If I can plug something real quick.
Absolutely, man. What else are we going to do here tonight? We said we were going to talk radio. Hold on. We said we were going to talk radio tonight. We have not deviated, I don't think, from the radio in the last 65 minutes yet. I think we're doing pretty good here.
Yeah. So, and we can move on to other things after this, but I got to get this in because I would love the help of Clubhouse and the audience for this. So I came up with this idea. May 25th is 5/25/25.
Memorial Day weekend, isn't it?
Which it's a Sunday. I don't know if it's Memorial Day weekend. It might be, but
I think
it's
a
5/25/25.
That is. That's
which
Memorial
is 52.525, which is the FM calling frequency for 6 meters. So I'm working locally. I just did an article and I'm presenting at our next club meeting on this. I'm trying to encourage people to get out on 6 meter FM on Sunday, May 25th, 5:25:25. I think it'd be fun because it's the beginning of 6-meter season
at 5:25 p.m. East.
Anytime. Just throw a wire up, whatever you got to do. But I just want to encourage 6-meter activity. We say it's it's the magic band, it's the tragic band, but at the end of the day, you don't know unless you try. And I think it'd be fun, take advantage. It's kind of like a once in a a lifetime thing. 5:25:25 is not going to come around again. So I thought that would be a fun thing to do. So I'm plugging it now. I'm going to do a video on it. I just bought last month the 6-meter Faraday. So I plan on using that. I think it'll be real fun to do. But I've caught openings on 6 meters, and I've gone on 6 when it's dead. You don't know unless you try, and I think it'd be fun. I got the idea because my son and I, a couple years ago, it was what they referred to as Tuesday. It was 2/22/22, and it happened to be on a Tuesday, and so my son and I went out to a POTA twofer, and we had 2 ops on 2/22/22 doing a 2-meter FM POTA. Nice. It was a last minute thought. We went out and it was pouring rain. We threw the Ed Fong J pole up, and we made a bunch of contacts. It was a last minute thing, and it was just fun to do, and it got some people on the air, whether they were techs or long time just doing simplex on 2 meters. And I think it'd be fun to do something similar on 6 meters.
Let me ask you. All right, so let me ask some questions, and maybe some people in the chat have the same questions. What can you tell us about 6-meter sideband propagation? Is it? I want to, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to relate to. I know pretty much when I get on 40, I know that invisible circle that I can draw from where I am, who I'm going to work, what states, what regions of the country. So all of our radios basically do about 100 watts on 6 meters, I believe.
Yeah, if you got or 50 if you got one of the mobiles like those like TYT quad bands or something like that. You might have some 6-meter FMs that'll do 50. Yeah.
Okay, but let's just say sideband. Have you ever done any range testing to say, hey, listen? And again, I know propagation is going to be, but just as a general rule, do you know where your invisible lines or circle is?
The few times that I've gotten out and I've gotten openings on 6, which would be like last June-ish or so, on sideband, I'm getting from New York down to Texas, Florida, into the Midwest.
But that's during an opening. That's my point. Okay,
that's during an opening.
So would you say do you think you and I can work each other? Now, I'm not too far from
not without an opening. I wouldn't. I think that'd be too far. My general understanding of 6 is when it comes to like if FM simplex, you're going to get some of the similarities of 2-meter. It's going to be obviously it's in between 6, or 6 is in between 2 and 10.
2 and 10, right?
And we have a local 10-meter SSB net that folks do in this area, but it's going to be similar to 2, but it's going to do a little bit better in area. You're not going to have. I talked about the foliage. Why is it so hard for me to say foliage?
I will help you. I will help you enunciate. Isn't that how ironic?
What is it coming to when you're helping me pronounce things?
Right. And the foliage, and the foliage is starting now here in the Northeast.
Yeah.
And,
that's not going to be so bad. On 6 as it's going to be when you get to UHF or so. But so it should be a little bit better distance range than 2, is my understanding. But yeah, when you get to simplex, and if there isn't an opening, then you're dealing with things like line of sight, what antennas, polarization is a big deal. If you're going to be doing local line of sight, FM simplex, doesn't matter the band. If you're running a vertical and someone else is running horizontal, the loss is significant. You don't worry about that with HF at all. when you're doing skywave propagation. But when you're doing line of sight, if you have cross polarization, the difference is huge. So that's a really, really big factor. And I know when I do a lot of the VHF contesting, I have to run horizontal, even if I'm doing FM. Because all the serious contesters are those that have really nice setups for VHF and above. They have multiple elements all horizontal. They're not running vertical.
Good point. Excellent point.
And that makes a really, really big difference. So that's a big factor too.
Well, that weekend I will actually be in DC. Probably going to tow the bike up again.
Yeah.
Which means I'll have the 857 in the truck with the ATOS. So that puts me vertical on 6.
Nice.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to call out. Just throw the call out and see what happens, or listen.
Just got to make sure to keep the truck keys in my pocket, or put the Bioenno battery in there and just turn the radio on.
Right, exactly.
Keep it and for POTA, there's POTA 6-pack awards. I got those like a year or so ago. There's incentive. I'm sure for SOTA. I don't pay attention to the SOTA badges or awards or stuff. I've gotten some, but get out
not
there.
Not too far from my hotel. There's a 7 for. There's 7 parks.
No kidding. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I activated that one last Memorial Day. On my way home, I stopped in there, got my 10, and moved on with the bike on the trailer behind the truck. And
where were you, in the parking lot of the hotel?
No, I was. Wow. It's a wildlife management area,
right?
That happens to be along 6 trails.
Damn.
Now, nice. Well, here's the thing. All 5 of the 6 trails are either 5 or 4 of the 6 all travel down the Potomac River.
Thank you, Ben.
So, Ben, member for 29 months. So, you're right there on the Potomac River, and then one of the other trails is the George Washington Parkway, which was the other side of the parking lot.
Nice.
And I'm like, yeah, I've got to do it.
Sweet.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's interesting. May 25th. See, now you got me, because I got to go up into the rafters one more time in the garage to put some stuff away. And I'm wondering if I should just pull the 6-meter beam down, throw it up here, just latch it to something here on the deck, run the feed line.
There you go.
And if other people get on who are local, to other hams, if other people get on and try, even if there's not an opening, it's an opportunity to see what you can do with 6-meter simplex. And
we used to run that all the time here in Connecticut. Back in the 90s, Mo will tell you, we were buying these GEs and these Motorola, and I think we were throwing crystals in them, maybe, or and the cables were like these big, gigantic cables, and you're going to put this is where we learned about a remote head, totally different than what we know today is. And these things probably weighed about 40 pounds, and we would play, we would do 52, and they were all FM. So we would, and we just basically cared about 52.525, and it was fun to work 6-meter mobile here in the state of Connecticut. It really was. It was a fun learning thing. And, and as they say, it just takes 2 guys. It just takes 2 guys. And the next thing you know, someone else wants to do it. And, a lot of this stuff was coming. It was a lot of dumpster diving was going on. That's all I'm going to say. I'll go to my grave. That's all I'm going to say. There was a lot of dumpster dive going on because a lot of agencies, they didn't want this stuff anymore, and they didn't want to grind it up. Yes.
See, you said 6-meter, and Mike pops into the chat.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's got something like a kilowatt on 6.
Yeah.
Does he really? No kidding.
Well, he picked up an amp. I don't know if he's got it working yet.
Yep, I know exactly what he picked up because I've seen him at the Hamfest out here too.
What is it? One of those nice Italian amplifiers?
No,
No.
they're like the old TV ones.
It's an old broadcast TV.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I was at the Hamfest last summer locally, and I saw them, and I took some photos, and I was texting.
Bo's right.
or sending to on Discord. I was like, "Hey, check these out. These are what you got, right?" And yep.
Yeah. He said it's not functional yet, but he's got all the parts.
Yeah.
And where did Julie post? Hang on. She said something about you guys were the best bathtub friends a girl could ask for.
Okay.
Julie, you want to explain?
Yeah, what's that going on here?
She's talking about her general.
Was she taking her test from inside the bathtub?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
For the security of proving that she's not cheating. I love it. What kind of shower curtain did she have, Steve? Did she have like fish on them? Because you could tell a lot about a person about their shower curtain. I am telling you. You could tell a lot about a person from their shower curtain.
So, the shower curtain, well, I don't think she was in her bathroom, but she was in one of the bathrooms in the house.
Okay.
But I will, let's see here. To prove it, you can see the tile wall behind her. And yes, I recorded it.
Excellent. So. Good for her. Hey, at the end of the day, guess what? It's called she passed.
She passed.
Yes.
Good.
But we were having fun with it.
Did she try to test up to extra after?
I tried to.
I don't know if I can ask that or not, but
no, you can ask. I tried to convince her, but she said no.
When I took my tech, I was like, yeah, why not? I'll try the general, and I bombed it. Like it was horrible. And so when I did the general, I was like, no, I'm not wasting my time. Like I'll be back next month.
There you go.
Got it done. But
Jason, I like the idea.
Excellent idea, Jason. Eric was talking about the acoustics. Is my guess is probably a little bit of an echo reverb going on, but
there was a little bit of echo. I could actually hear Vaughn playing on the radio through the wall.
Come on, baby, you can do it. And then when you're done, you get on the radio.
No, he wasn't. He was, I think, calling a net, or he was chasing POTA something. But it sounded like an all-star beep as well every time. But yeah, I could tell he wasn't helping her with the test at all, and she was very focused. So
hey, Ed, it doesn't make a difference where you sit in the bathroom. Guess what? You passed the test.
Yep.
Yeah, there he goes. He says he running a net. So.
Yep. And the one thing I'd say to her or anyone else, like after you pass the test, it's probably the best time to start studying for the next one while things are fresh in your head.
Yep.
When I got my technician, I thought that was going to be it. And my first contact on the radio on a repeater was one of the nicest hams that there is. And he told me my very first QSO, he's like, hey, you got this stuff fresh in your head. Keep studying. Don't give up. You can do this. And was so encouraging. And I kind of thought about it for like a week. And I was like, you know what? He probably has a point. Like this stuff is still fresh in my head.
Yep.
And then the next month I went back and the general, and then a month later got the extra. But I realized he was right. It's true. It's fresh in your head. Keep going.
I'm not making excuses, but my analogy when I first started looking at the extra questions, they are not really like the general.
No.
The general spends a lot more time on operating areas, where you can operate, extra is a little bit, it's a deeper dive, isn't it?
It's a deeper dive into the technical. Yes.
Into the technical side. And so.
Well, and when I do online testing, whether it be for Clubhouse or, a myriad of the other online testing I do or have done, we always tell them, you're in study mode. Keep going.
Yep.
If you want to go all the way, keep going. If you don't want to go all the way, that's fine. I've got plenty of people that are happy being a tech. They want to do all of the tech stuff. And then they'll think about, getting into general. And then you get them on HF once and they're hooked. So
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah,
and everyone learns different too.
Absolutely.
I kind of just was in like that sponge mode and just soaking stuff up and just doing ham study and audiobooks a couple hours every day. And I didn't touch a radio. I didn't operate other than my little HT I got after I got my tech.
Right.
I didn't get an HF radio until after I got my extra. I didn't touch being a pandemic ham. I didn't touch an HF radio until after I got my extra. So, it's different, and I've learned more obviously once I got on the air and started playing with stuff. That wasn't possible back then because you weren't having that face-to-face contact and stuff during the pandemic. It was a little bit different, but like I said, everyone learns different, and there's a lot to be learned by just getting out there and doing stuff.
Well,
and there's nothing wrong with memorizing stuff either, because the things I memorized when I was doing my tech in general, when I was teaching it to my son, when he was going for his license a few months later, after I had been operating, I realized, oh wait, I used to have to memorize the lengths of dipoles and all these things. Now I know because I've built the antenna or I've played on 20 and 40.
Yep. It's coming secondhand now to you, isn't it? Yeah.
And it hit me as I was like telling them like all these tricks to memorize. I'm like, wait, I already know this off the top of my head now, because I've done it. So it's everyone's different, so everyone's got to do themselves, what works. But that said, I think it's good if when you're in that mode, and you've been studying those habits and you got things fresh in your head, keep at it. Don't give up.
Well, and I had a young lady that tested with us during the pandemic, and she came in with no license, and in 18 minutes she had her extra.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Now
that's great.
In her defense, she's also working on her EE in college at 17 years old. Because she's like, how do I become a VE? And it's like, well, you got to be 18. So the day she turned 18, guess what paperwork we got? Her VE paperwork.
Oh,
she sent it to us on her birthday. And now she's running a team herself. So, and she's smart. Very, very smart.
So, a big hello to Carlos, who just,
Oh, did Carlos just drop in?
Yeah, drop in literally. Thank you for the warning, Carlos.
Carlos, I wore the shirt for you, the QR Poppy shirt.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Carlos, is it fair to announce Dayton? Just let me know in the chat.
Does he want to pop in? Should we let him in?
Or yeah, if you want to pop in, hit me up in Discord. I'll drop you the link. We've got 87 left with us here tonight, so we can. If you want to let the cat out of the bag,
I think you just let the cat out.
Well, I didn't say what in Dayton, but
it's Dayton. You know something's going to happen in Dayton.
Oh, there's always something going in Dayton.
Yep.
Hang it. All right, let me try this again. Copied, paste. There you go, brother. So, but yeah.
Oh, Steve, are you going to Dayton?
I'm not. I have Rolling Thunder the very next weekend, which is Memorial Day weekend.
All right.
And I will make Dayton at some point. I just don't know when yet. I want to be there, but the wife would not give me a hall pass 2 weekends in a row.
I just heard a beep here, or a doorbell go off. I think I know what that means.
Oh no, doorbell didn't go off. He kicked in the back door.
Look at him.
Look at him.
This is how he always starts it off, everybody. Do that again, Carlos. Listen. See, right away. Listen.
I come from the island of Puerto Rico to say hello to the QR Papi. Papi, look at the medalla light. He knows.
Where's your Modelo?
It's no Modelo, man. Modelo is a Mexican thing, man. Puerto Rico, we drink medalla light, man. Medalla.
And tequila, right? And tequila?
Except for, I know that is Daytona Beach behind you. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong.
Oh, Carlos. You're such a good liar.
Well, that's how I landed my wife,
Well, guys, we stopped talking radio now. So for Mike K MRD say, guys, stop talking radio. Now we're not gonna talk radio until the end of the show because Carlos is here.
Time for the comedic relief.
Yep.
I got a telegram, and it's like, go rescue those boys. Go rescue them. I'm like, okay.
There's no we were doing fine here. This was a courtesy.
It was over an hour of ham radio talk, though. So
it was almost 90 minutes of ham radio talk. I don't think we've ever done. I don't think this could have been a first. Maybe we'll have to.
No, we've gone the full 2.
We went 2 hours. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jason is right. Coquito is the national. But the thing is, Coquito is for Christmas, right? We're not in Christmas anymore. It's summertime. It's medalla light time,
Okay.
And Mike knows. Mike's been down there, And the thing is, we are very proud of our medalla light. It's like piss water chingon, okay?
yes.
And we know it.
It's ape approved, huh?
Right? No, well, let's not go that far, okay? It's not as bad as Miller, okay? But
does it come in a can? Does it come in a can?
Yeah.
It comes in a can. It's 8 ounces in the can.
No, 10.
It's hot down there, right?
Yes.
So
right.
if you make the can a standard 12 or 16 ounce, depending on where you're at, by the time you get to the last few ounces, it's hot as blazes. You don't want to drink it. So we make them smaller. They used to be 8 ounces. I guess they're 10 ounces now.
Yeah, I wondered about that because when I first, they're giving these things away like all over the place. Like anytime we were on a boat or an island or whatever, they're like, oh, here. And when I went into a couple of the stores, I'm like, why is even the Miller Lights, everything was 10 ounces. I'm like, what is up with this? But if you got a bottle, they're 12.
Now, are they selling it? Okay, are they selling it in grocery stores, package stores?
Yep.
Is it the drug store?
Oh yeah.
Yep. But it's not bad. It's good stuff.
It's because of the heat, right? So by the
it makes sense.
By the time you get down to the last few ounces of a standard 12 ounce or 16 ouncer, the heat has turned that beer into like rank piss water. So we sell it to you in small packages so that by the time you get to the last, it's still cold enough that it's still palatable.
All right. So how much is a 6-pack or a can or like price wise?
I don't know how much a 6-pack is. Mike just bought it. Mike, you tell us.
Do you remember, Mike?
It wasn't much. I got a 12-pack for you. I'm going to bring out to Convention. So and that's right over there. But they had like a 6-pack left of bottles, so I grabbed it because I never had the bottles. Everything down there was in the cans. Those little things. So it's just as much as like a typical domestic light beer or whatever. There's not a big difference between, at least for me, where I am buying it, and they have it at the beer store near me, and it's comparable. It's
normally
it's not expensive like buying a craft IPA, but it's not dirt cheap like buying Natty Light or something like that.
So normally in Puerto Rico, if you go to a bar, you're paying $1 for a medalla light in the can. So you're paying $1 for medalla light in the can. You can't buy a Coors Light for $1 anywhere.
You used to be able to buy PBR for $0.25, but I'm dating myself.
Back when I was your age, son.
And now she's telling us y'all drinking too slowly.
Listen, I am not denying that. But you have to remember we are also on island time. And island time is very slow. Mike will tell you, he was just down there.
Yep.
It's if we tell you noon, we really mean like 12:45.
Noonish.
So noon. I was just gonna say. So here, we call it. I'm on fire department time. If I say I'm gonna be home for 7, I'm gonna be home for 8, maybe 8:30. So it's sort of that same concept that it sounds like.
Yep.
It's the island is a very laid back place. It definitely is a clash for me because I've gotten very much accustomed to the idea of when I say 1, I mean 1, and in reality I mean 12:45, right? And when I say I'm rolling at 1, I don't mean we're gonna get all your bags in the car at 1. I mean your crap better be car at 1, because at 1 my foot is on the gas. In Puerto Rico, when I say 1 o'clock, I mean we'll have your bags loaded by 2 o'clock maybe, and then we'll.
Yeah.
Now, is this because of your parachuting when the pilot says it's go? You've got to go. There is no hang on, pilot.
No, it's long before that. It's the Army thing, right? So in the Army, in the service, okay, I'm broadly speaking, because the Air Force is in there, and so is Space Force, and so is the Coast Guard, and
wow, Carlos, you really know how to,
well,
kick someone on the kneecap.
I mean, the fact is, in the Air Force, when you say 1300, you mean
that's tea time.
Maybe 1500, okay? Where in the Army, and then in the Navy, and in the Marines, when you say 1300, it means you better be ready at 12:45. And I mean ready, on the line, good to go, because I'm going to call attention at 1300, and we're going. It's gone.
Yep.
Right?
I didn't know that Marines could
you're on time.
They can't. They can't, right? Their officers, on the other hand, are really capable of doing that. But,
that's why they have a Navy corpsman with them.
Except, don't forget, the Marines are just a part of the Navy. They like to say that they're their own thing, but they're not. They're just part of the Navy.
Department of the Navy. We'll let you decide which
Carlos,
department.
Carlos, have you ever operated on 6 meters? Or 1.2 gig?
6 meters, yes. 1.2 gig, no.
I'm sorry. Continue, please. Continue.
So, in my family, punctuality has always been a thing, right? And it is by no means a fluke of things, because I have several uncles that were military or police or fire. So, we were a little different. So even when I was living in Puerto Rico, when I said 1 o'clock, I meant 1 o'clock, man. I don't mean 101. I mean 1 o'clock, and be ready to go at 1 o'clock, because if you're not there at 1 o'clock, I'm leaving you. And I'll go by you when you're going down the hill, going, "Hey, wait a minute, what happened? Wait for me." I'm like, "No, you weren't here on time." Piss off.
If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're fired.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, that's where we are. So getting to Steve's point, because I don't want to. We have 87 people here, and they might care about their time. I don't know. Although they're here, they can't care that much.
No, because they're here.
Because they had nothing else better to do tonight on Tuesday night. That's how I look at it. I got nothing else better to do tonight. That's why we're all here.
So
just to hang out and have fun.
I'm going to make a short video about this, but I'll break it here. Extra here.
Where's the drum? The Joe Brett drum roll, please.
Exactly. Yeah.
Excuse me. This is where I say To those of you in the audience that have said in the past, "Oh, gee, Carlos, I'd go for a tandem with you." It's time to stand up or shut up.
There you go.
Been there, done that.
There you go.
Exactly. See, Steve has done that. It's time to stand up or shut up. Listen, Skydive Cincinnati is about 40 minutes away from the Greene County Fairgrounds. Just south of Greene County Fairgrounds, 40 minutes away. They are going to allow me to do tandems. We're going to land back at Skydive Cincinnati. So don't start thinking at Dayton, okay? It ain't happening. But Friday the 16th, I have 5 slots available, of which 1 is already filled. That leaves 4 pending. Okay? So, if you are one of the ones that have said, "I'd go for a tandem with you," here's your opportunity. Skydive Cincinnati has a website. You go there. They'll require a $50 deposit.
She's good. She's good, isn't she?
She's dangerous. For those on the podcast, Julie says, "Carlos, talk Vaughn into it."
Vaughn, are you here?
Yeah, he's here.
Vaughn, it's like this.
He just dropped a super sticker for $19.99. Thank you, sir.
Vaughn, it's like this. Nothing compares to skydiving other than the very, very, very first time. And we know what that means. So we know it's been a very long time since you experienced the very, very first time. It's time to have that experience again, right? It's that simple. So you can go to Skydive Cincinnati's website, book a tandem for Friday the 16th. That's the only day I'm doing tandems. I am not doing tandems on Saturday. I am not doing tandems on Sunday. I don't care how nicely you ask. It's not going to happen. Those 2 days are reserved for Parachute Mobile. Friday.
Oh, you just dropped the Easter egg right there.
Oh no, that was a known.
That's a given. That's a given, right?
No. But just say it. But tell everyone you'll be playing radio.
I will be playing radio Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday, not much, because on Friday I'm going to dedicate 5 jumps to tandems. Right. So if you have a desire to make a tandem jump with me, if you have a desire to make a tandem jump and play radio, I'll accommodate that on Friday. The first slot is at noon, and that's already taken up. So the next slot is at 1, and the next slot after that is at 2, and so on and so forth. We're doing 5. That's it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
While I appreciate the 5 slots, and guys, that's not going to be me, so let's not even going to go there. So, but just a general question: does that take a lot out of you, Carlos, to go, successfully 5 times in such a short time period? You have an hour to get the plane back up and get everyone lined up.
Not really, right? At my home drop zone, I normally do 2 an hour.
Okay.
So during the middle of summer, but I don't know if Nate's on here tonight or not, but Nate, NA9TE, lives in Hinckley, Illinois, and he just came to the drop zone this weekend, and he sees how I cycle, right? He saw me working, and he's like, "Man, you're putting in work," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm putting in work."
So here we go again, where when I tell you 1 o'clock, you better be here for 12:45, because.
Yeah, I mean, like where 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock is takeoff time. So
takeoff time, yeah.
So noon is takeoff time. That means you get there at 11 and you sign the waiver, and we get you, everything ready, and I'll put a harness on the process, right? 11:45, and so on and so forth. Someone asked about the weight limit. The weight limit is simple: 240 pounds. The drop zone at Skydive Cincinnati has a small airplane. It means that in order for me to get you out of the door, you have to be small enough that I can squeeze you through the door. And the door is not much bigger than me. So I can't take anybody above 240, if you're, how about this? I took a 280-pound linebacker from the Colts out of a similar airplane in 2022.
How was that? Do you go outside? I mean, how do you?
I had to get the pilot to grab this guy's leg and shove it around and push it out the door. And at the same time, I looked at the pilot and said, "Give me a bank."
Yeah.
I couldn't
Dump him.
get him out.
Dump him.
So the pilot gave me a bank and just dumped us out the door. So
that's one way of getting a cargo out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love it.
We were doing an event. This is not at my home drop zone. This is a different drop zone. They were doing an event for recovering addicts, and it was being sponsored by one of the linebackers from the Colts, and he was standing there, kind of bemoaning the fact that he couldn't go, and the drop zone owner looked at me and says, "I can't take him. I'm too big. Like between the two of us, we're way over the payload.
Yeah.
Can you take him?" And I'm like, "If he can help me get out the door, I'll take him." And let me tell you, the pilot had to help me get him out the door.
But you got him out the door.
Oh, we got him at the door. We landed safely. Mike dropped off.
Uh-oh.
He just dropped to the back. He's still around.
Okay. Yeah, it was it was quite the challenge to get, and the thing is, he's muscular. He's not fat, right? He's muscular.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a small door. And when I'm occupying half the door, for someone else to kind of get their limbs in and then swing out and then put their feet on the step, it's kind of like, human origami. So I'm capping it at 240. I would prefer it to be under 200, but that's a different story. I know for a fact I can get somebody at an average American built 240. Your typical dad bod out the door at 240. Okay, so Skydive Cincinnati's website, Google it. You can make a reservation there. Friday the 16th. You have to put a $50 deposit for the jump. That's not my rule. That's their rule. And basically, in the remarks field, you say with Carlos D36519. That's my name and my license number. That's how they're going to be able to go, "Oh, this is not a normal booking. This is a Carlos booking." So there you go. If you have ever considered the fact that you want to go first tandem, if you want to play a little radio, we'll pull a little high. Mm-hmm. I'll bring an HT. You can say Parachute Mobile. I guarantee you're going to get a bunch of contacts.
Oh, yes, you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have a target-rich environment. The moment you announce your Parachute Mobile of 5.2, you are going to raise a lot of people there, So there you go. 5 jumps limit. We already have one booked up. If you make a reservation, email me and let me know ahead of time, because I need to figure out how many of these are actually booked up before I let people know that we're done booking.
Okay.
I think that's a great opportunity for anybody. So if you can take advantage of that, go for it.
And
I got some weight to lose.
Yeah.
So I might have to aim for Huntsville one of these days. But
Mike, come on down to Huntsville.
Not your average dad build.
The PAC 750 is a great bird. Yeah. It's got a much larger door.
Yes, it does. It's 3 times the size of the 205 door. Parachute Jesus D36519. Yes.
I'm 6'2", 270 something. So like I'm more like that linebacker or defensive tackle.
So
you
could go in Huntsville.
Yeah, you can go to Huntsville. I'll take you to Huntsville.
And I want to get down to Huntsville one of these. Dayton's fabulous, but I do want to get down to Huntsville. Dayton's a lot easier for me to get to. But,
I'm going
to make it happen.
Huntsville's halfway across the country for you.
I know.
I was gonna say
but it's worth it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. The party at Huntsville is the ticket, man. The Hamfest is fun, right? but the party is the ticket.
Yes. The fact that we're all in a POTA park, you can activate on 70 centimeters, 1.25. You know?
You can activate on 10 gigahertz.
Yeah. Get a couple of 10 gig radios. We could do it.
Yeah. When I do jump, and I'll phrase it like that. I do want to play on 220. I think that'd be fun.
Cool, man. You know.
Yeah.
Whether it's a cheap Baofeng or if I can, hey, Kenwood, if you are listening right now,
Mike will sponsor your radio. Mike will sponsor your radio for you. That's a great marketing right there.
I mean, hey, we know the ICOM is drop tested. Carlos has proven that. You know, let's get a Kenwood up there.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
I wasn't going to bring up the ICOM drop test, but
you know, as a matter of fact, I'm making a video for ICOM on that.
Make sure you let them know that at Huntsville this year, you're going to jump with 100 watts on 2 meters.
I think I can reach the Gulf that way.
Yeah. I'm bringing the 9700, so.
Yes.
And we'll put 100 watts through the Faraday. I don't care.
Oh, neither do I.
I'll bring my elk. You can pump it through the elk.
Well, he can't hold the elk.
I can't take the elk. I can't take the elk with me in the plane because it just is too kind of gangly.
Oh no, I meant to aim the elk at you. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, we'll have a couple of those back in the park.
Mike, what Steve is saying is that he's going to bring his 9700. And I'm going to take his 9700 in the air. And what I'm going to do 100 watt sideband.
Mm-hmm.
That's
sick. God. You know, guys, I think about I remember the first time we saw Adam K6ARK bring what, an ICOM 7300 up to
7300 up to the mountain.
Up to the mountain. Now you got Carlos. What's next? What's the next? Who's going to do something?
I'm going to talk to Flex at the Hamvention and see, hey, can I borrow a Flex?
Talking about
it's got to be a Model M. You know, because you got to have the screen on it.
I got to have the screen for sure. I don't know that I can fit it in my pack, but we can.
Oh, you could take a KX. You could take a KX3, and that'll run you on 2 meters.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, man. So there you go. For those of you that have said something, put up or shut up.
That's some great news. That's some great news. Great news.
Well, because Dayton's the only place you haven't been allowed to jump.
Exactly. So I've jumped at Huntsville. The drop zone in south of Huntsville is fantastic. And
yes, they are.
The drop zone just south of the Xenia camp, what do you call it, fairgrounds, hasn't allowed me to do tandems there. And, I had an issue there last year with load capacity. And I was talking to a friend of mine about it. He says, why don't you go to Skydive Cincinnati? And I went, where? He goes, Skydive Cincinnati is another 40 minutes down the road. And they have the capacity to take you up. And they're not going to give you any crap. And it's a really cool drop zone anyways. And I'm like, you wait a minute. So I talked to them. I made the arrangements. And they were like, come on down. We got you. We know that what we're trying to do is a little different. Not a big deal. If you are going to do the tandems that you're bringing, cool. If they want regular tandems, we'll take care of them. But if they want to do a tandem with you, you can handle that. Not a problem. So that's where we are.
There you go.
Wow.
So very accommodating, very nice people. It's a smaller airplane. It's a 205, not a, I jump out of a Cessna Super Grand Caravan at my home drop zone. I jump out of a PAC 750 in Huntsville. At last year, I jumped out of Cessna 182 in near Xenia. So, the 205 is not much bigger than the 182. So we have limitations there. It only goes to 10,000 feet. That's all right. But
I was just going to ask you, minus any, do you prefer the smaller plane or do you prefer something a little bigger? Start at like what, almost 15,000?
I prefer the bigger planes just because they get to altitude faster. They get to a higher altitude. So the 205 and the 182s of the world, drop zones running in that world are going to generally run at 9,500 feet exit altitude, above ground level.
Okay.
Right. And drop zones with a turboprop, like my home drop zone in Skydive, Alabama, and the like, are going to take you to 14,500 feet.
Oh, okay.
And like 14.5 in 12 minutes versus 9.5 in a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
So the right to altitude, on a 182 or a 205 takes a bit longer. It's a piston engine, right?
So now let me ask you. You're still releasing the chute at a certain altitude, right? At
Yep.
what, 9,000?
I'm still releasing. It's like when I'm doing parachute mobile, I'm releasing the parachute basically as soon as I clear the tail of the airplane.
Okay.
Right. If I'm doing a tandem, then I'm typically releasing the parachute at 5,500 feet. If we're gonna do a little bit of parachute mobile, then I'll release it at 7,000, maybe 7,500 feet. So you have a little extra time to play radio, but that's up to you, right? If you want to do the free fall experience, we're gonna do free fall to 5.5. And if you want to do the parachute mobile experience, then we'll let you have a few seconds of free fall and then deploy the parachute.
What do you like to do, Carlos? Do you like that free fall time or that time to play? Regardless of that time element, do you like that? What I would call your Carlos time of
when I'm going for a jump. For me, even when I'm not doing parachute mobile, I'm going to deploy high, because I enjoy sitting in the parachute and flying the parachute, and just Steve will tell you, Frank will tell you, who else have I taken?
Renee
will tell you that once you open that parachute, you can hear a pin drop.
Really?
The quiet, the quiet and the solitude, and it's, and I'm not, going out of bounds here saying it is magical. It is, it's glorious to be in an airspace where all you hear is a little bit of wind noise, just a hair of wind noise, and it's so quiet and peaceful. You can be very happy at altitude, especially on if that's a sunrise, but if you were parachuting that into a sunset and you're just hanging out enjoying the view, it's gorgeous. It's meditative to a point where I can't even.
I was just going to say, almost like the solitude of it must be incredible then.
It is a gorgeous thing.
I was going to say sunrise jumps and sunset jumps are.
Yeah, sunrise jumps, sunset jumps are nothing short of awe-inspiring. It's I don't get to do very many sunrise jumps anymore. My home drop zone doesn't do sunrise jumps very much. I think we've done 2 in the last 10 years.
Wow.
At the drop zone that I learned at, we would have double sunrise jumps. And how do you get a double sunrise?
Yeah, how do you do that? Yeah.
You get in the airplane about 40 minutes before sunrise.
Okay.
And you climb to 14,000 feet and you loiter at 14,000 feet until the sun rises at 14,000 feet. You exit the airplane and you're enjoying that sunrise. And then because you're lowering in altitude, you see the sunset in the east.
Oh my God. Yes. I get it now. Yeah. Yes.
And then as you deploy the parachute and you're hanging out in the parachute, now the sun is starting to actually rise at the altitude you're in, and you see a second sunrise. And it's to see the sunlight actually catch from, say 6,000 feet, and you see it a line in the distance moving like a tidal wave towards you. It's
wow. Holy crap.
It's out of this
world,
man. It is out of this world. So, yeah, man.
I'm thinking we got to put Carlos up to the moon.
I was gonna say, what's the highest skydive in recorded history?
I think it was Alan Eustace did 130 134,000 feet, I think. Before that, it was Felix Baumgartner, and I want to say he did 127,000 feet.
I've seen that one. That was like the Red Bull one, right?
Yeah, the Red Bull.
The Red Bull one. I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, Red Bull gets in trouble for their skydives. Quite regularly, I might add. Plane-to-plane transfers, or that's just insane.
Let's see. Alan used to skydive 135,890 feet.
Oh.
I can't even fathom. I can't even fathom that whole.
Yeah,
it's a long way down. I can tell you that. The highest skydive was 23,000 feet, and I'm not joking. I was tired of free fall by the time I got to 10,000 feet. I was like, "Is this going to end? Is this going to end?
Wow.
Is this?"
How long?
I hadn't.
What was your duration? Do you know what your like? How long were you up there for?
It was just over 2 minutes of free fall. Being in that position for that length of time,
right?
It gets on your body, man. It's.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Jason's asking about wingsuit jumps. Yes, I've done wingsuit jumps. I think I have about 25 or 26 wingsuit jumps. The longest I've gotten on a wingsuit jump was almost 3 minutes from 14,000 feet. Wingsuits will extend your flight a long time.
Now, and is that experience mentally? Obviously, that's going to be different then, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, give me 1 second. Mike asked if I've jumped from a DC-3. I have not jumped from a DC-3. It's on my list of things. If you know DC-3, I can out of
Skydive Paris.
Well, yeah, but I have to fly to California.
The DB Cooper jump.
Yeah, that would be that's DC-8, I think, DC-9 or something like that.
Oh yeah, they are going DC-9, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Skydive Arizona has DC-3. So the wingsuit is very different. The wingsuit, you are an active pilot, so you're putting your body in a very very active position. Think of it as a plank with your arms to the side, where you're trying to get the wingsuit itself to inflate properly and give you the most lift, all while trying to keep the right, angle of attack to get the most glide out of it. And at the end, you have to flare it and pop up, so you can actually gain altitude towards the end, because you have to bleed off the forward speed before you deploy the parachute. Otherwise, you're going to have a really rough opening. Ask me how I know.
Oh, by experience.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a self-correcting error.
Well, when you're learning how to wingsuit, you don't know how to flare it. I mean, you can learn techniques on the ground, to an extent, but there's no teacher like the real world. So, my first couple of wingsuit jumps, I would say my first probably 10 wingsuit jumps, the openings were like, oh, why am I doing this to myself?
That's what we were expecting with the jump with me.
Although the opening we had was soft as butter.
Super soft, yeah. That was a great opening. Took a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, I was
but
like,
thankfully,
hey, I'm for handles. No, okay, good.
Yeah. Now with the wingsuit, and here I'll bring it back to the ham radio shit. But could you put like some of like that like copper tape, Faraday tape on the wings?
Oh,
and then maybe you have
make it
math in my head. You'd have to linear load it, but you could have like a linear loaded 6-meter dipole on your wings.
Delta loop.
You can definitely do a dipole on the wings.
Make it
no problem.
I don't know that I would want to sew on a $3,000 wingsuit, but
holy crap. Well,
it's only money. See, here we go.
That's why I said the tape. You use the tape. Yeah.
I don't know. The other thing there is, you're not going to play radio until you have a parachute above you.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to play radio until you have a parachute above you.
True.
The wingsuit opens. What do you get? Unzip?
Yeah, you have to unzip to get to the handles because like it really kind of cocoons you. You can't get your hands over your head. So, the process for a wingsuit is you have to, you look up and you're like, okay, that wing sort of works, right? And then you unzip your arms. And then after you unzip your arms, you make sure you have a properly wing, and then you unzip your legs. And then, we call wingsuiters men in dress because it's mostly men that fly wingsuits or mostly men that skydive in general because we're that dumb.
That's why women live longer.
Yes. I mean, there's probably 15% of the skydiving population is women. And the thing is, the 15% that are women, they're legit badasses in the sky. They put any one of us to shame.
Mm-hmm.
Ed, yes, it is the proper chat.
Yeah, we're talking about a lot of unzipping here, Ed. I know.
Well, but you know why I think more women don't get into skydiving?
Because
that centennial jump.
Why? What was he wearing?
No, the 100th jump is traditionally a naked jump.
Oh,
we've talked about this before.
And I'm here to tell you nothing, and I mean nothing, looks good at 120 miles an hour when you're naked. My 100th jump, there was a lady in it, and I thought, "Ooh, I get this here," and it was just like, that does not look fun at all.
that thing is kind of going. That thing was flopping to the right, and the other one was.
Well, and my thing was doing this between my legs, right? and believe it or not, it bruises. Right, because it's banging side to side.
We're all gonna have nightmare. Hey, listen, if you're listening on the podcast, slow down your vehicle. If you're driving and listening to this,
yes. So, Jody, we have talked about the ballistic profile as well.
You go to pee about an hour later, and you don't realize that it's bruising. You grab it, like, what's wrong with it?
I think I'm gonna have nightmares tonight when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's your 100th. You've got a ways to go.
You got a long ways to go.
And JB, it's after the 2-hour mark, so it's fair game.
Oh, Pope Joe Brett's here. Oh, he's in the chat.
He's in the chat. No. Oh my. So there you go. There's your breaking news. And if you don't want to jump, that's fine too. Yep. You can always come to the drop zone and watch me jump and enjoy the camaraderie of the drop zone. It's a fun time. Steve will tell you.
Absolutely, it is.
If you don't come to the drop zone, I guarantee you one thing. You're not going to be able to partake on the after hours drop zone things. Ask Steve about that. Last year at Huntsville, I didn't know it when I went to the drop zone to jump. One of the guys was smoking pork. He'd been smoking pork for like 36 hours.
Yeah.
And like proper good Southern barbecue. Oh. And I get a message from Steve going, "Hey, are you going to be back at Montesano anytime soon, man?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm chowing down on some pork right now."
Yeah, he sent me a picture that he's like, made everybody drool.
Like, you should be here, buddy. You should be.
Definitely.
How do I say this delicately? Has anyone had to say, "I got to go to the bathroom"? And I know you probably should say you should have took care of that when you were doing the paperwork, but
no, I haven't had that. Haven't had that happen. And generally, your brain doesn't allow you to do that in that kind of a situation. Mm-hmm. So,
interesting.
Fight, flight, or freeze, right?
Right.
Your brain is not going to let you do anything that isn't going to save your life in that position. And going to the bathroom isn't going to save your life, so your brain won't allow. Once you land, you might have to, rush off to the bathroom to pee. But,
because I would be like, "Where's my dude wipes?" But that's not going to help right now. That's not helping us right now. Yeah.
So let's see who said Frank says, Carlos, he saw the real after party from Huntsville last year.
Very good, Frank.
Frank.
Yeah, Frank.
Yeah. And yes, you evacuate before you head out to the airplane.
Yes, before I put the harness on you. So, let's see. The air temp at 14,000 feet will shrink that problem away entirely, as though maybe for you guys, but it didn't for me. I mean, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but
yeah.
I know. I'm telling you,
He's got the bruises to prove it.
I had the bruises to prove it. Yes.
Now that's a James T-shirt right there.
Oh, Lord.
T-shirt right there.
No. On that note, we are at 2 hours and 6 minutes.
All right.
All right.
Do we want to put a bow on this?
Tie it up.
Right.
Let's tie it up.
Yep. Carlos, what you got coming up?
Support Your Parks weekend was a couple of weeks ago. Easter weekend. I have a video coming out tomorrow about that. Come join me tomorrow night, 7-something, almost 8 o'clock. Immediately following that, we have the Ham Radio Kids table. If you are not aware of the Ham Radio Kids table, join us tomorrow night. Tim, Grayman POTA, is doing a great job with organizing that.
He is. Tim's doing a great job.
And making the topics very relevant and well taken care of. It isn't it is not the debauchery that is Clubhouse. We try to keep it PG. It is a family-friendly show. Come join us. That's all I have.
Okay. And it looks like you guys are going to have Dude on tomorrow night.
Excellent.
Yes.
Kids table.
Excellent.
And Dude is
good.
If you guys don't know Sean is legitimately a super nice human being.
Absolutely.
I got to spend some time with him last month. I stayed at his house for a night, and we BS'd till way too late.
We have a tendency to do that, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah, and he has a absolutely amazing antenna mast. If you're looking for one, go check out his Etsy shop. Look for the Little Dude, or go look at my channel and see the review on the Little Dude that was done by not me, but it's on my channel. So
It was done by a /AG.
No. It's posted to the ULS.
Well, okay.
So
As long as it's posted, you're good.
Miss Faust, congratulations.
Yep. Mike.
No, Carlos covered it with we got a kids table tomorrow, Thursday night ham radio, and just shout out to you guys at Clubhouse for being big supporters, and everyone in the chat who supported a lot of us doing what started with Tuesday night ham radio 2 years ago. It's grown. That there's more than a dozen plus of us now doing premieres on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and now Wednesdays, and we have the kids table. And so we appreciate all the support. We're having fun. And we mentioned Hamvention, so put these guys up there. If you see me at Hamvention, I just got 100 of these stickers. $20 is $20. Hit me up.
I love that. That's great.
I've jokingly I declared April 1st. I said that April is Baofeng Awareness Month. I've been using this thing every day. We got some bad storms today. We lost power for a few hours. I had NOAA on my UV5R. I figured why not? We have these things. Why not use them? Give them some use, get familiar with them, because you never know when you might need it and whatnot. But yeah, $20 is $20. I got stickers. I'm handing them out. I'm looking forward to Hamvention. It's going to be here before we know it. But thanks for all the support for us creators, and Clubhouse is a blast. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, Mike.
Izzo.
I bought a Baofeng too. Never thought I would say that. Bought one of those UV 25s, the big one that you can knock somebody over the head with.
Yeah.
Still learning with it. I got it all programmed up, but it's a fun radio to just keep in the truck at all times. And when you got nothing else better to do, you turn it on, and if it's not ham radio related, you can go listen to something else. So kudos to them. Big ass radio though. 52 milliamp hour battery, crazy antenna, but it works. So this weekend, I know they're calling for rain again on Saturday. I'm off on Saturday. I haven't decided where I'm going to go. I'm kind of looking at maybe into Rhode Island, Southern Rhode Island. Maybe I may go back into Connecticut, hit some stuff that I haven't activated yet. I don't know. I'm gonna do something on Saturday, and I don't care if it's raining or not, because we're gonna make it work again. And everybody who worked me last weekend in the rain, thank you. So it was fun. So that's what I got going on.
Okay. Yep. And if you haven't seen it, Jason put out a video on, it was a Reddit post about who your favorite ham tuber is. And I think, Carlos, you actually sent that over to him to make the video.
I sent it to the group of creators.
Okay.
Walt got that Reddit post basically says Walt is loved by everybody.
Yeah.
That's fine. Walt's the real guy.
But there were a few other shout outs in there. Mike was one of them. So
yes,
some of the smaller up and coming channels got a lot of love in that Reddit post. So that was good to see.
It's hard to really say there's one YouTube show now, ham radio related, that is really number one, because they're all. I spend 1 or 2 nights a week. I come out here with a cigar, and I watch that. I play catch up, so I'm probably maybe a week or 2 weeks behind on a lot of guys' stuff, but I really enjoy it. I really like how, and kudos to the people who have taken the time from the filming, the editing, and the uploading, and getting it on there. So it's fun. And Tube's contact, when Mike's derogatory comments are always fun to read. I just shake my head. So
he skipped, when people were talking about Mike because they were talking bad about him, and that's not what he.
But he also made a point of saying, you people don't understand what it goes into this, and Mike is legit.
Correct. Absolutely right.
Mike's been consistently doing 3 videos a week for the last 2.5, 3 years.
In this, look, let's not even look at the video count. Let's look at the person. Mike, legitimately, as a human being, I don't know how much time you guys have spent with him. I've spent a fair amount of time with the guy.
Oh yeah.
Legitimately super nice guy. What you see is what you get. You're not going to get any fake bull out of him. And he calls it straight 100% of the time. Whether he's right or not, it doesn't matter. He tells you exactly what you stand with him. And there's no gray area about it. So if you have a problem with Mike, it's because you don't like honesty.
Right.
So that's simple.
Good point. Correct.
So, yep. And even the Clubhouse got a mention in there. So that's where I was getting.
And Mike says, no, I'm just an a-hole, right? But look, I'm an a-hole as well. But people call me an a-hole because I'm honest.
That's it.
And fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't care. If people don't like me, well, okay. That's their loss.
I haven't figured out the psychology of taking the time to tell somebody that you're doing it wrong or this and that. Why aren't you just playing radio then? Just go play radio. But I know this is a free world, or this is America. But it just, I don't know. Sometimes I get a kick out of reading the derogatory Saturday stuff, and other times I just skip. I don't want to even see it.
Yeah.
Just rather just continue to stay positive, do what I'm doing, watching what other people are doing, learning from other people. But again, thanks to everybody out there.
Yep. But as for
Steve,
me,
what about you, Steve?
I've got a couple of videos to edit. I still need to tune or retune a couple of bandpass filters and video that. I've got to repair the bike this weekend because I need to get some miles on it before Memorial Day so I can make sure everything's ready to go. But other than that, I'll be here on Tuesday night. So, you guys.
I think we have do we have a guest next week? I think. Don't we have a guest?
You've got the calendar.
Not up. No, I think we have a guest next week too.
Okay.
If you don't, I can always step in.
Hang on. Let me look at the calendar
Carlos,
here.
thank you for thinking of us.
Yeah.
I'll be derogatory right now, but I won't.
I don't see one on the calendar.
All right, then maybe it's the following Tuesday. Anyway, we're going to be here next Tuesday, one way or another.
Yep.
Whether it's one of us, two of us, three of us, who knows? Carlos may pop in. Maybe somebody else will pop in. Who the heck knows? That's the fun of this show. So this is what Clubhouse is all about. So, and it was great having Mike back on. We haven't had him in a while. Yep. We wanted to figure out what the hell he's been going on. We didn't know if he was going to show up in a bow tie tonight or a tie, but it doesn't make a difference what he's wearing.
QR puppy.
Yeah.
QR puppy. All right, everybody. Wave goodbye to everybody and give it 7 threes, and we'll see everybody next week.
7-3, everybody.
Bye-bye now. Bye. Is that a QR puppy?